Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be reviewing the Bodycon and Bodychan SHFiguarts figures. Starting with Bodycon, the male version of the figure. Getting him out of the box, he looks like your average SHF figure, or what you would expect from a blank figure. All his stuff's gray and looks well-sized compared to his actual body. He's actually got very good articulation for a figure this cheap. I got him for $17, and he's got some pretty crazy ab crunch and arm, just some pretty crazy joints in general. Now, I've noticed a couple problems with him, such as he's got some scuffing on his chest and I believe on the back of his head, but that's not as big of a problem. And then I'm hoping this figure doesn't break, though, because with all of my other ones, they've had something wrong with them, such as a foot or a knee or an arm or a hand breaking, and it's just impossible to get back on. And I don't mean like an actual piece, I mean the joints on the figure. Now let's take a look at his hands. Up first is his first thing of hands. It's got some open hands, closed hands, lot of different stuff. And then this second one has the more miscellaneous hands, like the phone and gun holding hands, and then rock, paper, scissors and stuff. And here's a stand. Both figures came with a stand in the box. They're not the highest of quality, but they're pretty alright. So this is what connects it to the base. It's got 2 points of movement. And then let's just get these put together. Here's the piece that actually holds the figure once you put them in the on the stand. And now here is a base, which also functions as kind of like a container for all of the hands to sit in, if you so choose. So we're going to get the whole stand put together now. And here's what it looks like, all put together and stuff. Here's what the figure looks like holding him up, or what the stand looks like holding him up. It's got some pretty good support, but some of the pieces come off pretty easily, as it did just now. But so here it is. It's holding him up. It's not as tight as I'd like it to be, because he does move around quite a bit in there. But I guess that's all right. So on his back, he does actually have a little point for the peg to go inside of. And so you can just have the stand hold him up like this, without the thing holding him up. I would only use this for animations, because I don't really pose these. There's also a second head, or not head, the second thing to hold him up, which kind of just has better support, because there's now support in the bottom instead of just the sides. Now that we've seen the figure and the stands, let's look at his accessories. So he's got a katana, gun, laptop, 2 pieces to a laptop, an iPad, and then a pencil for the iPad. All of his pieces are pretty simple. Pretty much all of them have a hand specially made for them, aside from the second phone, because there are 2 phones, a flip phone and a smartphone. And then the laptop, and maybe the pen. I don't know if that one has a special hand for it, but I'll probably show them off later. Now that we've finished looking at the Bodycon figure, it's time to look at the Bodychan figure. Overall, I do believe she comes with all the same parts. I know her hands are a solid amount smaller, just because the figure in general is smaller, but I believe she comes with the same accessories. Now, the first thing I noticed taking her out of the box, she's incredibly skinny, and without looking at them side by side, I can already tell she's a lot smaller and shorter than the bodycon figure, which I wouldn't normally have a problem with if they also changed the head size, because from what I can tell, they're the same size. They look the same. Her head just looks big compared to the rest of her body. It shouldn't be that big. On top of that, her left shoulder's kind of weird. It feels a bit flimsy. So it's got the same stand and then the same box to put all the hands in, as you can see here. And this is just the spot for the stand and all the other extra head bits for it. And here are her hands. Now, as I said before, they're noticeably smaller than the others. For example, here are the male figure's hands, here are the females. Here's the second pair of female hands, which are just the miscellaneous ones, compared to the males, which once again are a lot smaller. Here are the figures just next to each other. Even without the camera being in quite the right spot, you can tell the female one's definitely shorter than the male. The guy also seems to be whiter, just like in general. He's got whiter shoulders, as well as nothing covering the top of her arms, or of his arms, which doesn't limit the movement as much. Here are all her accessories. They're all the exact same, so I'm going to just skip through this. Here's your scale. I couldn't find any concrete answers to their sizes, but just next to each other, that's what they look like. And now some poses. My thoughts on these figures, they're both pretty alright. Or, well, the male one is pretty alright. I don't have too much to say about him, so I'll talk about him last. The female figure, however, all of her proportions just kind of seem off. Like, the size of her head compared to the rest of her body, how tiny her hands are, despite having the same size accessories as the dude. On top of that, all the accessories are the exact same, which kind of sucks. As well as with her being smaller, having smaller stuff that are easier to lose, she's still the same price as him. I really couldn't care less how much she costs, because, like, as I said earlier, these were $17 maybe. So it's not that much to pay for each of these. It's just, it would have been nicer to see her be cheaper. And with all of those size differences, except her having the same, pretty much the same proportions for all of her joints and everything as the male, the actual, like, hand joints on her arms are bigger than the part that's under the elbow. All of her arm that's under the elbow is smaller than the joint connecting the hands. That's pretty much all my problems with the girl figure, aside from the thing that's blocking her shoulders, which just kind of straight up stops her arm from going above her head, or even above her, like, chest area. It kind of stops it. But yeah, now let's talk about the dude. For him, he doesn't have as many glaring issues, but I did notice that with his hands being bigger than the girls, it does actually seem like they fall off easier, since they have the same joints. It had to be small enough to also fit the girl's hands, while leaving the guy's hands a bit larger and heavier made it so that they would fall off easier. And then for just all of his joints, it feels like they would fall off easier. And then with his knees and elbows, I get that they're probably ratchet joints, but they feel too hard to bend. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all my problems with the figure. I think they're both all right. Yeah, that's it. So, with that said, I've been Brandon First. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. And I'll see you, like, next week, I guess.